Oh no, somewhere someone's killing kittens. I can feel it. Meow. Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming your way for one of my famed movie slash Blu-ray reviews. Now I'm pretty sure I reviewed this movie a long time ago, maybe better part of a decade ago, but I got this Blu-ray last year and I just watched it just now, and I'm like, I should do a Blu-ray review of this, and it's just like, well, why don't I just talk about the movie as long as I'm doing it? So I'm coming your way to review the movie and the most recent Blu-ray release that was a limited edition by Scream Factory. I think it limited to 1,500 units that they put out, and I got it from them direct last summer in 2023. Coming your way to review the movie in Blu-ray of Sorority House Massacre. So my history with this movie goes all the way back to 1993. Keith, you might know Keith. He's been featured on this channel since like late 2022, and there's also old videos with me and him in it, and old audio and things and stuff. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, you may know about Keith. But me and Keith, when we were teenagers, what the hell would we have been in 1993? 16 years old. I was on a big Slumber Party Massacre kick, and I was aware of the fact that there had been, at the time I owned Slumber Party 1 and 2, but I'd never seen 3, and we were on a hunt to get, to rent Slumber Party Massacre 3 so we could watch that and dub it and things. Alas, we couldn't find Slumber Party Massacre 3, so we biked or walked to a video store, a mom and pop video store, and we settled for Sorority House Massacre. And at the time, this is a movie that very much like with Double Impact, that grew on me over the years, and mostly because back in '93 when we were watching it and recording it at the same time, Keith was also dubbing it while we saw it for the very first time, dubbing it for his collection at the time. I was actually recording with an audio cassette, us watching it for the very first time, and since my initial review, I think I uploaded it, published it last year for like the 30th anniversary of us watching it for the very first time. I published the audio, all of the audio that exists. It's a good chunk of the movie of us seeing it and laughing at it and me complaining about it for the very first time. If you wanted to hear that, perhaps a link in the description, perhaps not. All you got to do is look on hit the little search thing on my channel and just type Sorority House Massacre and it'll come up. Maybe there's a link in the description for you lazy bums, who the hell knows. But this is a movie that kind of grew on me over the years, and something that I didn't like at all the very first time I saw it. Like I was much bigger fan of like Slumber Party Massacres at the time, so it was kind of cool to see. Oh, you know what? Another factoid about this is that at the time, and right around, well, I think that same summer of 1993, Keith had also recorded Sorority House Massacre 2 off of cable, so he had that, and I was much more of a fan of that because it had a lot more TNA and stuff, and just scantily clad women just running around in nightwear or lingerie or whatever the hell you want to call it. So when we rented Sorority House Massacre, the first one, I was hoping for something like that. It's not anything really like that, but over the years it's really kind of grown on me. And the basic thing about Sorority House Massacre is very much with like Slumber Party Massacre 1 and 2 were actually, it was 3. I can't remember if 3 was directed by a woman as well. I think all 3 of the Slumber Party Massacres were directed by women. The first Sorority House Massacre was directed by a woman, but alas, I think some guy, was it Jim Warynski or someone, would end up directing Sorority House Massacre 2, but it's really kind of cool that a woman directed all 3 slumber parties in the first Sorority House Massacre. These are all Roger Corman movies, incidentally, and good old 80s Roger Corman B-movie, exploitative, naked chicks and lingerie fair kind of stuff. But anyway, if you listen to the audio from '93 of me and Keith watching this for the first time, you become aware that you're definitely, very much aware of the fact that I wasn't a big fan of it, because at the time I was all about like just as much TNA as possible, like the Sorority House Massacre 2 would do more of. And it's a shame that that's not on Blu-ray, but I would imagine it's the same kind of thing with like Slumber Party Massacre 3, where there was an unrated version And if they even have the film elements at all for Sorority House Massacre 2, I would imagine it's a situation where the unrated footage doesn't exist in film form anymore, and maybe just the movie exists in film form in the R-rated version, if it even exists in film form at all. But it'd be really nice to have a, you know, Sorority House Massacre 2 Blu-ray, and obviously Hard to Die and all this kind of stuff. I did see Hard to Die for the very first time last year, which was kind of cool, being the 30th anniversary of me first seeing Sorority House Massacre 1 and 2. But anyway, as always, as often is the case, I'm all over the place. But yeah, this movie has definitely grown on me over the years, and I think I probably mentioned this in my first review I did years ago or whatever. God, I want to say that review might be over a decade. It might be a decade old or older, but the basic premise of this, it's really short, like a 74-minute movie, by the way, and that includes like closing credits, so it's like 70 minutes long. So that's really kind of a sparse running time for you people with ADHD or whatever, so it works out great for that. But the premise of this is actually kind of cool in a way, like it's like a blatant kind of Halloween ripoff. It's like doing Halloween, or actually like not Halloween, but Halloween 2, you know, when the whole thing with the original Halloween 2, when they came up with the half-ass idea that Michael Myers was, you know, or Laurie Strode was Michael Myers', you know, other sister, and like he killed the first one at the beginning of Halloween. That's why he's after Laurie Strode, is because he's, you know, she's his sister and he wants to kill the other sister. So based on that like original Halloween 2 premise, this movie is kind of like a Halloween, I guess, 1 and 2 kind of a rip-off thing. And one of the things that I really, and still watching it again, I don't necessarily think is the best idea in the world to do, is like, it's actually kind of really interesting for a slasher movie how like maybe artistic this movie is. And my biggest problem with the movie is like the artistic stuff and all the intrigue and the mystery stuff kind of, it starts at the very beginning of the movie, and it starts with, I think you can see this for an HD scan, by the way, for free on Tubi, I think, very possibly. Oh, it should also be mentioned that this first came out on Blu-ray. I don't know when the hell it first came out on Blu-ray, but originally it was like Scorpion Releasing who put out the Blu-ray. I think that was limited to 1200. Both times this has been on Blu-ray, it's been limited to 12 or 1500. I didn't get that first one, so I was delighted last year when I had the opportunity, although for an inflated price, unfortunately, I had the opportunity to get the a Blu-ray of Sorority House Massacre at the time. And even though it was an inflated price, it's probably cheaper than getting it from the first Blu-ray from a scalper on eBay. But yeah, I don't have. I think that like the artistic kind of stuff and trying to, the mystery surviving this character with the short hair, which that was another thing I didn't really love about the movie at the time, and still, you know, I don't have as big a problem with it now, but you know, I'm not a big fan of like girls with like short kind of guy hair and stuff. And this main character Beth, is so like just annoying, and I think there's so many girl characters like this in horror movies and stuff, where they're just kind of like Tina and Friday the 13th Part 7, just like mopey and sobby and depressed character and kind of things. So one thing I was really annoyed, and you can hear it in my audio from 93 of us seeing it for the very first time, is just how like annoying the main character of Beth is, and how like it's just me, and I'm struggling with my visions and dreams and nightmares and all this stuff, and trying to figure out the mystery of why all of a sudden I'm having these visions and nightmares and stuff, when this is when Beth, right after she first like stayed for a while, I don't know if she's like auditioning the sorority house, but Beth, the main character, comes for the very first time to the sorority house and is, I guess, trying it out or something like that over Memorial Day weekend to see if she likes it, I think, if I'm understanding the movie correctly. So Beth's having all these kind of nightmares and visions and stuff ever since she arrived at the sorority house. Meanwhile, we kind of, throughout the course of the beginning of the movie, cut back and forth to this B-movie mental institution where this one male character is like, kind of like when she entered the house, then he also is like affected. They have this connection, this psychic connection. And as soon as she enters the house, then he starts going mad and stuff. He ends up breaking out very much like Michael Myers, of course, and stealing a station wagon very much like with Michael Myers, and going to the sorority house and tries to kill her for reasons. Well, I won't necessarily spoil, but I've kind of probably already spoiled it. but it's not a big deal either way. But one thing I will say, it's funny how you know, how your opinion of certain movies changes over the years. Because when I first saw this at 16, I was like, it was really lame. And granted, you know, it is kind of lame, but I think that, you know, the older I get, the more I really actually do appreciate the writer-directors. I think did the woman write and direct it? I don't know. But the artistic aspect of trying to, you know, of just like showing visions and this and that, and creating this mystery for the viewer, trying to, you know, just showing this and that, and like, and then having it revealed later on, I think is actually, for being a low-budget slasher movie, kind of a TNA thing, I mean, it's really, really kind of creative for what it does in those regards and stuff. But you know, it is definitely like a Halloween 1 and 2 kind of a ripoff. But I think it's a really interesting kind of a Halloween 1 and 2 ripoff. And honestly, it's so funny how, you know, low-budget movies now, like full moon movies and stuff, shot digitally and stuff, like, you know, I'm not a big, huge fan of movies shot digitally, which is probably one of the reasons, well, one of the many reasons I don't really like movies that are, you know, produced and released these days. But one thing that, you know, watching this Blu-ray is just so striking is, like, this is such a low budget, like, just B-movie, Roger Corman, mid-80s, just slasher movie, TNA, whatever. And it's like, god dang it, it's, you know, shot on 35 millimeter, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Like, it looks so, it's so much better than a lot of movies look now, and, you know, they're all digital, but this thing looks so beautiful, and especially on this Blu-ray, which I guess has a new 2K scan, which I guess is, you know, who knows, it's probably the same one as the Scorpion releasing, but maybe tweaked, who knows, you never know. But regardless of if it's a new 2K scan or not, or if it's a Scorpion version, it's absolutely breathtakingly, you know, looking. So I guess that pretty much does it for my review of actually the movie. And my star rating, I could go, you know, I never would have imagined I would have, I don't know what I gave it when I originally reviewed it, but, you know, as the years go on, I think I like it more and more. So I can go as high as 3 stars out of 4 stars for Sorority House Massacre. I think it's something that ages actually, like I say, you know, in my opinion, it just gets better as time goes on, or at least better for me as time goes on. And, you know, of course, there's a little bit of the TNA that one, you know, straight, you know, heterosexual males watching this movie would hope for, but nothing like the, you know, just the astronomical amounts that are copious amounts of TNA that are like featured in the sequel, which incidentally like has nothing to do with really this movie at all. And the sequel of this movie, Sorority House Massacre 2, starts the trend that would continue on with Hard to Die, which is this, you know, talking about like the events of the, you know, the first movie, and then showing scenes from like Slumber Party Massacre, and completely changing the names. And it's just like the weirdest freaking thing in the world. I just don't understand the mystery behind like the Sorority House sequels, and why they both changed the names of the character in the first movie and also used footage from Slumber Party Massacre. And it's just like the biggest mystery in the entire world as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this has been available like an HD version, probably the Scorpion releasing version, on Tubi for a while. And with any luck, if you haven't seen it, it still is available there, maybe on YouTube or something. But it's definitely, you know, don't expect the biggest thing in the world or whatever. But if you're a fan of like just B movies, Roger Corman, TNA, exploitative slashers fare from like the 80s, you may very well like or love Sorority House Massacre. Now on to my review of the, you know, it's just a year old at this time of shooting this review, Scream Factory Blu-ray release of Sorority House Massacre, released, I guess, limited to 1,500 units of, released last year, 2023, and ever since I think 2020, and they released the Friday the 13th Blu-ray box set. I think I've been signed up to their mailing list, so I was got a heads up on this, and I'm like, oh man, I'm not going to pass this up because I missed out on the first Blu-ray by Scorpion releasing. As we can see, special features: new 2K scan of the original camera negative, new A Nightmare on Sorority Row, remembering Sorority House Massacre, interview with actor. I don't know why it's this newfangled thing of calling actresses actor. I don't really like it at all, because back in the good old days we called actresses actresses. Interview with actress Andrella O'Neil. New, a slash course in terror, inside Sorority House Massacre. Interview with author slash film historian Amanda I tell you, these last names, you can read it. What's really cool, and I didn't watch it this year, but I think I watched it last year, which I think I really thought it was kind of cool because there's just additional footage. They've got a extended UK VHS cut with additional footage, which is really fun. Do they show? No, they don't say how long that version is on the running time, I don't think. But that was, I can remember that being really cool to see additional footage and things, you know, scenes and bits of scenes that they felt like they weren't necessary, so they cut out, but you can see them in that version, which is cool. And also being able to watch it on a VHS version makes it all the more kind of fun too. Sorority Pledge interview with executive producer Roger Corman. Sorority Sister interview with actress Nicole Rio. Sorority Brother interview with actor Vinny Valencio. Original trailer. So there's actually a decent amount of news here. We've got a new we've got 3 news, and one of them is for the new scan, and I think 2 of the news are for some of the special features here, which is cool. So if I'm understanding correctly, even if you've got the Scorpion Blu-ray release, you know, these new features aren't going to be on that. They're going to be exclusively on this one. One thing I can remember is that there's an interview with the chick who plays the TP. I can't remember her character name or her actress name, so I'll just say the TP kind of busty chick. We see her tits in the TP. Like, there's an interview with her, and I don't know when the hell they did that interview. I have a hard time imagining that it's recent, because she only looks like 10 years, 15 years tops older than she did in the movie. Like, I don't know, she aged really well, that Miss Big Tits from the TP. So it was really cool seeing an interview with her, and I'm pretty sure they interviewed the actress who played Beth as well, but I think that's just an audio interview. So the special features on this Blu-ray are actually really kind of good, and it was really cool seeing the Big Tits TP chick in an interview. Like I say, she only looks 10 or 15 years older than she did in the movie. I can't believe that that would be shot anytime recently. Maybe it is something that was shot, you know, longer ago that never was released until recently or something, but you know, regardless, she looks pretty good in the interview that's featured on this Blu-ray release. As I said earlier when I was talking about the movie, like this Blu-ray version is absolutely beautiful, and I can't, when I'm watching it, I can't even imagine this movie ever looking any better than this. Like, this is like, you know, let's face it, I mean, this movie is definitely, you know, I've gotten to like it a lot more over time and as the years go on and stuff, but this presentation on this Blu-ray of this movie is like just way beyond what it deserves to be seen as. And when you can see a movie like this in this kind of quality, you just realize how just amazing that you know, it really brings movies like this up to a higher tier, because when you watch something like this on an old VHS from the 80s and stuff, it has kind of this nitty-gritty crappy quality, and if you see something like this, like a B movie from the 80s that looks this good, it's just like, wow, you know, whoever would have thought that this movie ever could look this good if they just, you know, gave it a quote-unquote modern film-to-tape transfer and high definition and 2K and all this kind of stuff. So I can't praise enough how absolutely amazing this Blu-ray looks, and like the colors, the contrast, just so many things about this Blu-ray release is absolutely amazing. Obviously, we're dealing with just mono sound. There isn't any sound anomalies or anything that was wrong with the sound that I can report on. Just an absolute, just amazing freaking Blu-ray release. And it's a shame that both Blu-ray releases of this movie were like limited. I don't know, that must be a rights licensing kind of a deal or whatever, but it's just kind of a bummer. I'm just glad that they put out this new Blu-ray after putting out, you know, years ago, whenever they put out the Scorpion releasing version. But absolutely stellar Blu-ray presentation on the audio, video and audio front, and really some kind of fun special features as well. Blu-ray disc is going to look like that, with the classic, you know, poster / home video cover art being utilized. That's, if I were in charge, that's exactly what I would do. So way to go, Scream Factory. And since there's no reversible cover art option, they did actually decide to put, I guess, probably a screen grab from the HD scan and just put a still shot from the movie. Kind of a weird choice on the other side of the front and rear cover for the Blu-ray packaging. Kind of a weird choice, but it's the image they chose. So yeah, fingers crossed that someday they can make, someone can put out Blu-ray versions of some, Sorority House Massacre 2 and, also Hard to Die as well. Like, one can only assume, because it hasn't happened yet, that the film elements for Sorority House Massacre 2 and Hard to Die are probably lost or in such crappy shape that it's not even worth it. That would be a shame, because I actually obviously have a soft spot in my heart and a hard spot somewhere else for Sorority House Massacre too, and it would be fun. I'm not, seeing for the very first time Hard to Die last year. I mean, I could take it or leave it, a Blu-ray release of that, but I've got a soft spot and a hard spot for having grown up with Sorority House Massacre 2. That'd be nice to have a Blu-ray release of that. I guess that pretty much does it for this review. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and as always, we'll catch you on the next video.